You're listening to the Jōrni Podcast. At what point does letting go stop feeling like loss and start feeling like finally becoming yourself? Let's explore in today's episode. This episode contains adult subject matter and some listeners may be triggered by this content. Listener discretion is advised. Hi, I'm Petra Brunbauer, and with decades of experience with sadness, pain, anxiety, and stress, I finally figured out how to leave all that behind. And this podcast shows you how to break free permanently so you can reclaim your sanity and find the self-esteem and energy to go after the life you desire. With real talk about mental health, holistic healing, and the tough journey of coming out the other end. This is the Jōrni Podcast. Welcome to today's episode. Transformation begins when we reconnect with the deeper layers of who we are. It starts when life cracks us open just enough to feel, to listen, and to reconnect with what makes us come alive. This episode explores how pain might become a catalyst for awakening and how heart alignment can lead toward our highest potential. Yasmina Ellins is the secret weapon behind some of the world's most visionary leaders, artists, and impact-driven innovators. With laser-sharp intuition and disarming presence, she guides individuals to grow their wealth, expand their influence, and create a life that feels like magic. Once a painfully shy girl who hid in the library to avoid speaking to her classmates, everything changed at 16 when she typed "How to get charisma" into Google. That moment sparked a lifelong journey of transformation and a mission to help others feel the connection she once craved. Today, Yasmina is a Cambridge University graduate, sought-after TEDx speaker, best-selling co-author with the founder of Reebok, and co-creator of the Maverick Next Impact Award, which brought rising entrepreneurs to Sir Richard Branson's private island for mentorship with global business icons. Let's meet Yasmina Ellins. Hi, Yasmina. It's so great to have you on the podcast today. I've been looking forward to getting to chat with you because awakening into your highest potential is a fascinating topic for today. And I feel such an amazing way to actually finish off 2025 and come into 2026. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on, Petra. It's my pleasure. And I'm just excited that I get to bathe in your soothing voice for the next half hour.
Thank you for that. I hope our listeners agree with you. So thank you so much.
No doubt they do. Everyone's sitting here being like, I wish Petra released daily meditations.
There's a thought. We should do that. Create some meditations for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. It's my absolute pleasure to have you here today. I feel there could be no one better to actually help me close off 2025. And I do feel our listeners probably had quite the turbulent times this year. A lot was going on in the world. So I'm glad you're here to chat with me today.
We're just here to end this crazy year with a bang. Let's
Absolutely.
do it.
Yeah. And would you like to start us off with maybe a little bit about yourself, Yasmina? And I almost want to say the parts of your journey or your story that you feel relate to what you do today or where you are today in the world, and let our listeners do also what it is that you do today.
It was a fantastic question. I have had a very expansive story, an expansive journey. When I say expansive, that means there was a lot of pain and a lot of darkness that then was churned and transmuted into gold, which I think is very common also on a healing journey. And my journey really starts being a very shy kid in London who just didn't know how to talk to people. I had very low self-esteem. I would look at the floor when I walked, my shoulders would slump over, and I'd speak like this in class, super quiet, because I didn't want to be seen. But I would look around at the other kids in school and I'd wonder why people wanted to be friends with them and why people wanted to be friends with the popular kids, but no one really wanted to be friends with me. And I would wonder what was wrong with me. And so it was a very challenging time that pushed me into, when I was 16, I was like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of coming into school every day, feeling like I'm surrounded by people but I feel so alone. I feel so isolated. I feel so disconnected. I feel ignored. I feel rejected. I went to Google, as you do, and I typed in how to get charisma. And that led me on this journey of obsession with understanding how to human, how to connect. And I think, especially when we're talking about healing, right? One of the most undertalked things about in general is love, right? The healing power of love, the healing power of your heart. And a lot of that comes through connection. And one of the things I later learned is the reason why I was struggling to connect with other people is because I wasn't connected to myself. And any connection to anyone or any purpose always starts with connection and love for the self first. So my whole journey all circles back around to really fulfilling self-love. But that kind of pushed me onto my personal development journey. I started listening to podcasts like this one, right? And learning that I didn't have to be the loser me. I could be the hero me, and I could step into my greatest self and greatest life and improve myself. And so I started improving in various areas. Went to Cambridge University, studied languages, went the path I was supposed to, did a very prestigious internship in corporate finance, and decided that was horrible. And very soul draining. And it's funny because while I was in finance, I was running in the mornings, right? And I was like hustle grind. And then I'd come home and I'd studied entrepreneurship as part of my escape plan. That kind of burns you out as well. But that kind of really pushed me onto my entrepreneurial journey. And I decided, you know what? I don't know any entrepreneurs. I don't know anything about entrepreneurship, but I'm going to start a podcast so I can meet them and so that I can learn from them. And through that, I started making, for the first time in my life, truly value aligned friends that I really felt saw me and understood me, and vice versa. And then I started interviewing multimillionaires and business icons and best-selling authors and people like the founder of Reebok and just like incredible people. And I soon learned that I was really good at building relationships from all of the work I'd done on myself as a teenager. And so I soon started helping other people how to build win-win relationships with some of the giants in the industry. And they come back to me and they'd be like, Yasmina, wow, I now have an Oscar award-winning film director who's my mentor, and I'm making my dream documentary on innovation with people like the founder of Shazam in it. This guy was a piano teacher, but his dream was to become a filmmaker. Or, oh my God, we applied what you said about cold outreach, and now our team was able to reach out to the chief of defense of our country to speak at our event, who's the second most requested speaker next to the prime minister. Or even more meaningfully, oh, before I was working with you, you didn't know this, but I was actually suicidal. And now I feel like I have a community that I can lean on and that I'm leading, and that we really support each other towards our highest dreams and potential, and we really get each other. And beyond that point, I ended up on a whole journey of ups and downs. I spent a year traveling the world, completely broke, rebuilding a impact-driven young entrepreneur community for 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs under 30 from the ground up, and ended up living a very weird double life of staying with my $50 million mentor in Santa Monica for a month. And then organizing dinners in Austin, Texas with high net worth people, 20 dinners at a time. But I was so broke at the time, I was walking an hour on the Texan highway to get to my own dinner because I didn't want to pay for Uber. Or getting invited to the first Royal Ball to take place in France's the French Revolution, VIP for free. They sat me next to a literal Disney prince, like a handsome prince. But the next week, I was almost going homeless in Barcelona, eating 2 falafel wraps a day to get by. Eventually, after a lot of burnout and craziness and unsustainable traveling, through the help of a really good friend, managed to turn it all around and created an impact award in collaboration with Sir Richard Branson to bring incredible young entrepreneurs to Necker Island to have dinner with him and other industry icons, and build a deep community with people their age that really understand what it's like to be a successful entrepreneur in your 20s. And everything went up from there. Not to mention, I then had a spiritual awakening after experiencing my first heartbreak from love and first heartbreak from death in the same weekend. Then 5 months later, experiencing some significant financial loss. And that is like, when you experience those 3 things, especially in 1 year, that often it's the universe pushing you towards a greater path, which helped me open up my heart, helped me surrender more to the universe, helped me surrender more to trust, which helped me create more magical miracles. And I feel like this year is really a point in my life where I'm really starting to drop into my body. And people often talk about the idea of there's the mind, there's the heart, and then there's the body. And I'm a very kind of airy, fairy, floaty person. And my whole life, I was always very in my head. Everyone would always project onto me that I was very intelligent, going to go to a great university. And they were right. I did. I was very in my head, but I wasn't super in my heart. Then as I started to get onto my spiritual awakening journey, I started to get really into my heart, which obviously is very healing and also magnetizes such beauty into your everyday life. And then this year, I had some health challenges with wisdom teeth and different things like that. And I really started to start dropping into my body and being like, wow, I'm a grounded physical human being on this earth. And how can I nurture my vessel? And how can I get it to the point where I'm not just trying to get by physically, but actually optimize? I was listening to a audiobook by Wayne Dyer a couple of months ago, and he's talking about how everyone is trying to just we only go to the doctor when there's a problem and then we try and get to like decently normal, but people don't typically think, how can I be even better and better and have more limitless energy? So I've been on this journey recently of like biohacking and somatic practices and supplements and hot yoga and hugging trees. And it's been a very transformative journey. So yeah, lots of ups and downs on my journey thus far. But my whole vision and my whole mission is really to create a world where everyone wakes up and they think, wow, I'm living my most magical life. I'm so grateful for this life. I get to live a life full of love, purpose, joy, connection every single day, where magic and miracles are following me every day. And so now everything that I do, anything that I get involved with, is to further that vision for humanity.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I just want to sit in that for a moment. Let that resonate with our listeners. What a beautiful story with all its ups and downs and all its lights and darkness in it. Without one or the other, we couldn't really appreciate the other side of anything. So thank you for sharing that and powerful insights and experiences that you've had as well and are passing on to others now through your mission and your vision. I think about this a lot because as entrepreneurs, I feel like we're often told you need to be logical, you need to be living in your head, you have to think about these things rationally, you need to make rational decisions. There's no room for emotions here. I feel like that's a bit of an outdated paradigm that was passed on maybe from the older generations, but that's how I grew up as well. How do you tell people, some of our listeners might be in exactly that spot. How do you help or show or tell people to actually come more into their body and start living from their heart? I feel like this might be a hard thing for a lot of us to do when we have been raised with a mindset like that. And then we find that it might not always be very helpful to live that way. How do we come more into embodiment? How do we live more from our heart? What was your experience with that?
Fantastic question. And it's just as you mentioned, right? We come into this world, and especially the era that we're in right now, the era that many of us were raised in, was very much do the right thing, follow this path. Everything has rational steps. And to be honest, I don't think I've seen a single successful entrepreneur who isn't at least slightly delusional, right? Who isn't at least slightly where everyone in their life is like, are you freaking insane? What are you doing? And they're like, no, I just trust and I have faith. And I think every single entrepreneur has trust and faith in the unseen, something that's not yet been created. But there is that common spiritual adage, right? Or visualization adage. If you can see it in your mind's eye, you can achieve it. It can exist. It's a reality that you can tap into. So in terms of stepping into your heart, your body, right? We have one vessel. We have one vehicle. You can be a billionaire and have all of the money in the world. And if you lose your health and you get a serious illness, cancer, become bedridden, whatever it is, you as a billionaire would pay every single cent you have and go broke tomorrow to get that back. That's the number one most valuable thing that we have. And if we don't nurture our bodies, then it's like a car that's trying to go at full speed like a Ferrari, but it's breaking down. So we can't actually move towards the visions and the dreams that we want to while our body is crumbling. And I even experienced that, as I mentioned earlier, I had some problems with my wisdom teeth earlier this year, and they were never going to come out. They were really deep in. One was blocking my sinus, the others were compressing on my nerves. It was super painful. There were toxins that were flushing into my lymphatic system and into my brain. I got crazy brain fog, fatigue. I'd wake up and be like, my jaw hurts. This is hard. I'd wake up, feel super queasy, and then be like, I'm so grateful that I get to experience this so I can move through it. I always think having a positive attitude is the best. My grandmother is an angel, and she's the biggest role model in my life for me for this. She'll always say, she's German actually, right? She only speaks German, but she'll say, in German, she'll say, ich bin dankbar für das, was ich habe und das, was ich nicht habe. So in English, that's, I am so grateful for everything that I have and everything that I don't have. And one time I was sitting next to her and she's looking at her finger and she's this finger, I can't fully bend it properly, but I'm so grateful that I can move this finger. And she overcame her bowel cancer through pure positivity, love, trust, and faith in God. I am certain she's one of the happiest people I know, even as her health declines. But because of her being so in her heart and so in trust and so in love, her body and her mind is better and she's able to live a happier life. So back to how do you get into your heart? I don't know that's necessarily a very easy thing to answer, because a lot of people, if you're so stuck in your head, sometimes it's going to take a painful experience for you to open up into your heart. And that's why for me 2023 was such a transformational year, because I had things stripped away from me, money, relationship, my cat was the death, that caused so much grief that my heart had to open. And the poet Rumi, he'll often say, you have to keep on breaking your heart until it opens. And I had a friend, actually, a really good friend of mine, that we lived together a few years ago. And he loved Rumi. And he's a very wonderful man, very in his heart. And he would always tell me, I'm so excited for my next heartbreak. I'm looking forward to my next heartbreak, because it's going to crack my heart open more, and then more light is going to be able to come in. Practically, I think one way we can really drop into our hearts is to actually focus on it during meditation, right? When you're meditating, actually sit and feel the frequency of your heart and feel it 2 inches deep in your chest and feel the power of it and breathe into it and sit with it. And the more that you sit with and expand into the heart, the more that you're going to be operating from a frequency of love. And there's a book that I've not fully read, but I've read part of it. It's called The Happiness Advantage. And it talks about the old paradigm that a lot of people think, when I'm successful, I'll be happy. What they actually found is the reverse. Happy people become more successful. Happy people tend to be more in their heart. So when you're more in your heart, you will just naturally take actions from a loving place that help you become more successful and more healthy and more wealthy and just more at peace.
Beautifully said. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, you actually completely nailed it with, I feel the same way, that it often takes these transformational experiences that carry a lot of pain and a lot of depth to them to really break open the pieces of our heart that we may have put away and sometimes feels behind a wall, even to protect ourselves from certain things. And when those times come and we don't have a choice anymore, we get cracked open in that sense. There's a few ways to go, right? And if we step forward during those times and we let that transform us, that can be one way. And some people may shatter during those experiences and it becomes very hard to move forward. But I think it is one of those really pivotal points where you can step into that heart-led living space and let it transform your life. I feel there's pain and darkness in a lot of the experiences we go through, but it is, as you have done as well, it is what we make of that as we come through those and how we apply that to our lives, to our future. And in your case, your vision and mission also. Yeah, no, that is beautiful.
Thank you. our body keeps the score, right? And I think in every point in our life, we have a choice. We have a choice. We can make a choice that is in alignment with our higher good, or we can make a different choice, right? And that kind of, those choices then come into the unfolding of our lives. And so some people, they face these really tough moments in life and they let it fester. They let it consume them, and it turns them into, they can't deal with it. It turns them to depression, to grief, to frustration, to resentment, to whatever it is. And some people have so much trauma that's undealt with from childhood or from other different kinds of situations in their life that they don't want to face it. They don't want to look at it because it's so hard to look at it. It's so hard to look at it because you think, if I look at this and I allow myself to feel this, I'm never going to be able to get up off the floor. I'm never going to stop crying. I'm never going to stop raging. And so it's hard for people to look at that. And it can be a lot of work for people to face that. And it cripples people. Even hearing your own story, right? It's like it cripples people. It cripples their bodies. They become sick and they die earlier. Their bodies start to fall apart because their body is keeping the score. And all of these resentful energies, painful, dark energies are just trapped. And that sucks. But if you can have that courage, and if we look at the David Hawkins scale of consciousness, if any of your listeners are familiar with that, right, we have the bottom is grief, shame. It's like shame, guilt, apathy, grief, something like that, fear, anger, pride, all these things. And then it's courage. The 200 is courage. And then above courage I can't remember exactly what they are, but it's like willingness, acceptance, neutrality. And then eventually you get into love and bliss and acceptance, right? So when we're in that darkness, when we're in the fear, when we're in the anger, when we're in the depression, the guilt, the self-loathing, the self-pity, the hatred, can we have the courage to sit with that? Can we have the courage to be with that? Can we have the courage to own that? Because when we step into that courage, that is the time to face our darkness, to face our shadow. That is the opening into those higher states of consciousness that also include love and enlightenment and transcendence and reason and all those kinds of things. But it really starts with that courage. And I think what you will find is, you might think, this is going to consume me. I'm never going to make it back from it. But I'm going to tell you, I've had it several times where I'm like, this is so hard. This is so hard. I'm going to continue to be with it, sit with it, radical acceptance, radical validation. Can I love it? Can I derive pleasure from being mad? Is this super sexy that I'm angry now, right? Is this super sweet that I'm so sad, right? Is there a way that I can fully welcome? All is welcome. Welcome emotions. On the other side of that, when that's fully felt, I found the craziest states of peace and love beyond what I ever thought possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is part of this trust that you were talking about before, actually, that we trust that there is something on the other side of those experiences. So trust ourselves with that. It's a hard lesson, I feel. We go through it, I think, multiple times before we may fully understand it, or maybe we never fully understand it. But yeah, as you said, there is some magic on the other side, especially in our healing journeys and our personal growth journeys. And a lot of pieces of the puzzle that sometimes we're looking for will come on the other side of these experiences. I'm curious because you've had these experiences yourself, and you mentioned connections and relationship building and community. How do you feel that connects into these journeys that we go on, these experiences that we have? Because I feel a little bit that people often feel alone. They feel isolated. And especially, I want to say, as young entrepreneurs, if you are successful or you build something successful, it can be very lonely in that space. How do you feel that social connection, human relationships, and those kind of, I want to say, support networks factor into coming into your heart space, going through these experiences? How have you lived through that?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. We are living in an age that is more socially isolated and disconnected from ever. We're more connected than ever through our phones and through technology and social media, but we're more disconnected than ever from ourselves and from each other. And I think there is a tipping point where this is starting to change. And that I think I'm seeing collectively that there is a deeper need and craving for in-person community, having a hug, the healing power of simply a hug. So yeah, what I found is the friendships that I used to have at school and things like that, they were friendships that were based on my circumstance. They were just, right, we're in class, we're going to school every day. So I guess I can meet some people and we become friends because we're familiar with each other and have the same lessons and see each other every day. Those bonds of friendship did not last for me. And of course, there are some cases where they do become a best friend for life. But I think those are rarer. And I think for most people, when friendships are built like that, the bonds don't last. And it was when I really think about it, and I think about the close friends I have in my life now, I think even after I started to get social skills and charisma and started to make even better friends in university and thought, okay, I'm more popular now and whatever, the friendships, the connections that I started making when I started pursuing my purpose, when I started pursuing my path, when I said, no, I do not want to go into finance. I do not want to go into consulting. I do not want to go a corporate path. I do not know exactly what path is meant for me, but I know it's not this. And so I'm going to act on my highest excitement. I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to start connecting with people and learning. And it was from that energy of excitement, from my passion and me stepping into that purpose, that I naturally started to attract people that were on a similar path. And it was those people where we realized we had more shared values. We had more of a shared vision and dream of what we were creating into the world. We had more of a deeper understanding of who each other was and what we liked. And it's those friendships that have been so nurturing and so fulfilling for me. And so the power of that, building friendships from that place. And then when you have friends like that, when you have community like that, when you're in those pits, you have someone to call that can be there for you and say, hey, I'm here, I'm listening. I've had friends where I've had moments in the past couple years where something happened and something blew up, and then suddenly happy-go-lucky me is feeling super depressed. And I'm like, this isn't me. What's happening? But I feel so sad. And I feel like I need to cry, but I can't get it out. And then suddenly there's someone who's there for me. And the moment that they wrap their arms around me, I'm able to let go and fully cry and let it out in the safety of them. I feel so lost. I feel alone. I feel something happened professionally, that something went off with something was perceived wrong, or something blew up in my face, and I feel awful about it, and I'm putting it all on myself, which is really unhealthy. But that would be my subconscious programming in that situation. And I have a friend that's on the other side of the world that I can call, and I start talking, and my voice cracks and I start crying before I even say anything properly, but they're there for me. And they're like, how can I help you? And they remind me of my light. And they remind me how amazing I am. And they remind me that I'm going to bounce back. And I know a lot of people say, be your own best friend. And I think that's also amazing. And it's amazing when you have actual real human beings that can be there for you and be that for you and hold you through the darkness. And then on my path, I now have a lot more friends who are more spiritual, conscious, into holistic healing. And it's through those connections that I made that I learned about bioavailability and supplements. And okay, now I can improve this way. And we're all on our own healing journeys. I had a friend that, I think you're familiar with the energy healing system, the body code, right? He's shown up for me so many times, and on him pursuing his healing path and healing journey, he started introducing me to things like tapping and the body code, and doing free sessions with me, for me being his guinea pig, but also as a friend, and doing releases on my heart wall releases to actually open up my heart and elevate my consciousness, and to be there when I had the financial loss situation and do the body code for me. And that got me into learning the body code myself, which is now a system I use almost every day to heal my energy and elevate my own consciousness and come into my power. I truly believe that you're one relationship away from your life changing forever. And I think a lot of people, when they think about networking and relationship building, they think more about the financial aspect. And of course, you can achieve your dreams through community and through building relationships. And also, the most life-changing stuff for me in my community building, relationship building has never been anything financial. That's always been a cherry on the top, a bonus, a fun thing, a nice thing, but it's always been the love, the trust, the connections, the adventures we went on together, the memories that we made together, and the way that we showed up for each other in the light and in the dark.
Yeah, and those are the most beautiful connections that we make, sometimes really unexpectedly through different transitions that we come through. And I feel it's also important for our listeners to know that it's okay to let some of those relationships go when they're no longer aligned, when they no longer fit with who you are evolving into, who you are becoming. That's sometimes the scary part, is letting those relationships go that no longer align, but that does free us up in a sense to keep moving forward as well. So that will happen along the journey, that sometimes even friends that I've had for decades, at some point it stopped aligning. That's all right too. That's okay. Part of your journey. Yeah. And thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure. And some of those friends will eventually come along the journey with you.
Yeah.
And some of them will not. And again, that's a choice. And a question when it comes to, is this friendship really feeling aligned? A question I have asked myself in the past that's really helped me is, if I met this person today, would I go out of my way to build a relationship with them? And if the answer is no, that's often a sign that relationship might have hit its expiry date.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really great. And listeners, it's part of what you can take away from today's episode as well. We've had so many little aha moments and nuggets that Yasmina has been sharing. And that's another one for you to maybe keep in the back of your mind as you're going through your day today, going through your week and coming into the new year. Have a bit of a look at what's happening in your life and how things are aligning for you. Now, of course, January is always the month where people feel like they need to make a lot of changes. We need to throw out the old and bring in something new. So if people are feeling a little bit stuck as they're coming into the new year, if they're feeling a little bit disconnected, maybe as you've experienced, their outer reality doesn't quite match up maybe with their inner reality, which can cause a lot of conflict. Do you have something they can start with coming into the new year? Maybe something small they can work on, take a first step on. I know that changing everything at the same time is too overwhelming, but if they want to start on that path of aligning themselves, finding out what they actually really love and want in their lives and living from that heart space, what do you recommend that they start with? The few small things they can start with.
What comes to mind is, what are my happy pills? What are my happy vitamins? If I were you, I would write a list of things that just really make you so happy. And it doesn't even need a reason. It just lights you up. It gives you pleasure. It gives you joy. It's a passion you have. Write down that list. Just do one. Make sure that one of those happy things you're doing every single day to really nurture yourself. And it's actually funny. I just finished, for the first time, I know I'm way late to this trend, but I just finished reading Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. To anyone that has read Eat, Pray, Love, near the beginning of her book, when her life is falling apart and she's having the divorce and this affair went disastrously, and my money's being taken and what's going on with my life, she's like, you know what, I'm going to get an apartment because I need it for my sanity, and I don't know how I'm ever going to use Italian because I'm an American and Italian's only spoken in 2 places in the world, but it brings me so much pleasure, the idea of just learning Italian. And so I'm going to learn Italian and I'm going to just geek out over the dictionary. And that's what propelled her on her journey of year of discovery, of then living 4 months in Italy and speaking Italian and eating food and things like that. So I have a piano at home and I love improvising on the piano. And I love just like when I'm having a break from work to just sit at the piano and flow. And I love going for walks in the park. So that's one thing I would recommend. The other thing I'm going to say might come a bit out of left field, but I think I'm a real believer in going with the natural rhythms. And in January, we're still in mid-winter. Like the actual new year, the real new year starts in spring. The real new year starts in April. And I would recommend you do some digging around why the calendar year was changed to January and what that was all about, because that's a whole interesting rabbit hole to go on. But part of that is it really kicks people in the foot because we're in a point in January where we're still meant to be resting. We're still meant to be hibernating. It's still winter. Our body isn't ready for all of those changes. And that's more springtime. So we're all starting our New Year's resolutions because someone decided for some mystical reason that the New Year should start in January, and then everyone fails on their goals, and then they lose self-esteem, and then they don't believe in themselves, and it's harder to achieve your goals and your dreams. So just to take it easy with yourself, not put too much pressure on yourself to just revamp your life in January, and allow yourself to go with the natural rhythms of the planet as well.
I love that. Actually, nobody has ever said that before, that the new year starts in April. So that makes a lot of sense. We're still meant to be recovering from all of the holiday craziness and sowing our seeds for those to actually germinate when spring and summer comes. It makes sense not to jump into a whole lot of big changes there, but thanks for mentioning that. I feel that takes a bit of the pressure off for some listeners who might feel that there is absolute expectation to make those changes in January. So yeah, thank you for that. And how can our listeners connect with you, Yasmina? I feel there might be a lot of curiosity around what we've spoken about. And a lot of listeners, I feel, will see themselves in this and have gone through similar journeys and are looking for connection. So how can listeners connect with you? And tell us a little bit about what's coming up for you as well in the new year. I know you have some exciting things happening.
Yeah, oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Absolutely. You can connect with me on Instagram. Everything is my name, Yasmina Ellins. That is YASMINAELLINS. Also, probably see the show notes. You can check out my Instagram at Yasmina Ellins. Check out my website, yasminaellins.com. You can also check out my media kit, yasminaellinsmedia.com. And then also I have a book that I'm working on that should be coming out sometime next year. So if you're interested in, that's going to be a whole fun, crazy collection of the stories of my life that have gotten me into very weird places, very weird rooms, and it's all about building very magical relationships and a magical life. And so you can find that at yasminaellins.com/book. And yeah, there may be some other opportunities to engage and get involved. If you just get on my mailing list, you'll be kept in the loop and learn about all of the magical ways you can come into my world.
Amazing. I feel like there are a lot of exciting things coming and waiting for a book to be finished and then to publish it. It's an exciting journey. So congratulations on that. And listeners, if you want to connect with any of the resources Yasmina offered, we will be linking to everything in the show notes as well. So be sure to check there on how you can connect with her and keep an eye out for that book and any other exciting things that are upcoming in the new year. And thank you, Yasmina, for being here today and sharing your story with us and also spending time sharing your wisdom, sharing your mission, your vision, because I feel this is really important for others to tap into. And it gives us just that little bit of hope, that little bit of a push in our own lives, I feel, to keep moving forward and also maybe make some of those changes that will bring us more into a centered and aligned way of living or path of going forward. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It has been such a delight to have you here today. Thanks for spending the time.
Oh, thank you so much, Petra. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on your beautiful show and for your wisdom, your insightful questions, your soothing voice. It's really been one of my happy pills today. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll work on making some meditations. That'll be a really good thing. Maybe we can do those together.
I'm down. Let's do it.
Thank you so much, Yasmina. Take really great care of yourself. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen in. If you enjoy the Jōrni Podcast, please support us by subscribing, sharing on social media, and leaving us a review. We appreciate you. And you can find more of The Jōrni on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and our website, thejorni.com. Sending you love and courage, and see you next time.